Hey Alex, I wanted to give you a quick thing on how to cut onions because I know we didn't get to it last week and I'm really sorry. This is just a quick idea of how to cut onions a couple different ways depending on your recipe. You can use any color onion you want. You can use the white onion or yellow onion, sweet onion, or this is a red onion here. It all cuts the same. Sweet onions tend to have a little bit less pungency to them. They don't make your eyes hurt as much. But they do cook a little sweeter, so they brown a little faster, so be really careful. Usually sweet onions are available once or twice a year in the fall or during the winter, and usually come from Washington State or maybe upstate New York, sometimes called Walla Wallas or Vidalia or some other place. Basic anatomy of an onion. This right here, this hairy part is the root end. This is your stem end, obviously, the part that grows out of the ground. How you basically want to, the fastest way to peel an onion is to actually cut it in half. But first let's talk about knives real quick. Two kinds of knives. This is a chef knife right here, and this is called a santoku, which you have a santoku knife, I know. By far the best knife to cut onions with is this one because of the shape of the blade, and I'll go over that in a second. But I'm going to use the santoku because that knife isn't really sharp and I don't want to take a finger off. How you peel an onion and cut it real quick is you're going to cut it longitudinally like this. You want to cut it between the stem and the root end. So just get it on the board, cut it right in half, right through the root end. And then you're going to figure out which the root end is again. And you're going to very, very lightly give it like a shave of a haircut. Just a little tiny bit. You want to keep the root together. So you see I actually have part of the root still attached, but the fuzzy stuff is gone, the dirty stuff is gone. That's this part. This is going to hold your onion together when you're actually trying to slice it, because if you don't have that end on there, it's going to go and you won't be able to cut. So, to peel an onion real quick, since you've already got the root end taken off, it's already bugging my eyes, get your fingernails under the first two layers and just rip. Get in there and dig it out. You're not trying to preserve any outer layer of the onion. Quite often the outer layer of the onion is really tough anyway. So, there you go. Sorry, my compost bucket. Okay, so how you want to cut an onion for either dicing it, like small, medium, or large dice, or to julienne for strips, or to make half moons. The first thing we're going to address is how to make diced onions, and this is the hardest thing. People show on videos that you actually slice the onion this way, which is an easy way to take a finger off, which is totally not cool. The smartest way to do this is to do this. You're going to make bicycle spoke cuts from here. So you're going to cut diagonally this way, and this way towards the center of the onion, like a bicycle seat, like a bicycle spoke on a wheel. But the important part to remember is this part back here has to stay intact so you can keep it together so it doesn't spread out when you're cutting. That's where this knife comes in. This is the classic chef knife. It is meant to actually, if you watch this, it's meant to actually cut the onion, but if you notice, this part of the knife is curved down here, the edge of the board. This won't actually let you cut the root of the onion. So this is by far the smarter knife to use for an onion, but if you have a santoku, which you do, and I like to use, we're going to go through it, but make sure you don't actually pierce the back. So the way to do this is to start at the back. Ooh, excuse me, my nose is running. Ooh. Okay, so to start from the back here, get your angle, make sure you're cutting, your knife touches the board, and go towards the center. So you see I've got a little cut here. I'm going to do it again. On the back, knife to the board, then towards the center, knife on the board, towards the center. So now I have, there's my little cuts. Not perfect, but then again, this isn't brain surgery, it's onions. So again, you're going to cut into the board, towards the center, knife on the board, towards the center. Whoops, that sucked. Towards the center. I'm doing this upside down, so forgive me. So I basically have it where it's ready to dice itself. So watch this. Fingers off. Here's the thumb, the root end is where your thumb is. Against your knuckles. Forward, 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 forward. Now you have diced automatically. Oh my goodness, hang on. It's fresh onion season around here, and they're like really full of mustard gas. Anyway, so now you have different sizes of dice to worry about. Some recipes say large dice, some say small dice. Depending on how many wheel spokes you put in there, like anywhere from 4 to 6 or 8 is how big your onion slices are going to be. But don't really stress so much unless you have to have a precise size. This is a small dice right here. Go to a medium dice if you need to, it doesn't really matter. But be consistent in your sizes. Now, when you get to the bottom of the onion down here, this is the hardest part because you're getting a small piece and it's going to want to spread out and go crazy. What I do is, here's my root end. I turn it this way and get a couple more slices off of it before I flip it back, and then it'll stay in place better. Okay? And the end pieces, you can just cut the corners off. Now this root end here is really kind of bitter. I throw mine in the compost, or if I'm making soup, like chicken soup stock, I'll use that. But you're in a dormitory, you don't need to worry about making soup stock. Just chuck it in the Ziploc bag. Ooh, damn. Okay, let me get rid of this real quick, and then I'll show you how to cut some julienne pieces. So in case you want longer ones or you want those pretty onion rings, I'll show you how to slice those. Okay, so to get those really pretty half moon slices, it's pretty easy. You've already got the onion cut in half. You've got the root end here still intact. You just make nice small cuts. And you have nice thin onions for sandwiches or salad or whatever. Now if you want to do julienne, which is those long strips of onions, like if you're making French onion soup to impress somebody and stink up your dormitory, or you need to do caramelizing. To caramelize onions, you want to do long strips. They seem to have better surface area on the cut sides, and the sugars tend to brown a little better. So again, we'll make the bicycle spoke cuts. All towards the center. Don't cut the root if you're careful. Don't forget to move your fingers out of the way. Like I'm moving my finger from here to here as I'm cutting the side, cutting towards the center. Okay, so now I have this onion that's actually sliced one direction. I'm not cutting this way because I'm not dicing, but I want a julienne, I want a long strip. So now I go to this part, the root, and I cut in on an angle to cut that whole wedge of root out, and look what happens. You have juliennes. There you go. So that's your basic onion cutting. If you have contact lenses, which I used to wear, that your eyes will not be irritated. So if you wear contacts, great thing to throw in before you do this. If not, a fan blowing might help. Nothing else really works but goggles. So your swim goggles, put defogger in them, go for it. I'll see if I can get you to knife sharpening here in just a few minutes, or maybe tomorrow or next weekend, but here's your onion basics. Hope it helps. Bye.